If getting rich were just about math, we'd all be millionaires. The formulas are simple: spend less, invest, wait. But money isn't just numbers, it's emotional. Our fears, desires, and egos drive our financial choices far more than logic ever could. We chase instant gratification, fear losses, and compare ourselves to others, sabotaging our own progress. The real obstacle to wealth isn't income or intelligence, it's mindset. Until you master your emotions around money, you'll always feel behind. Building wealth is about understanding your habits and the why behind your choices, not just crunching numbers. Today, let's break these emotional traps and flip your mindset for real, lasting wealth. Who's wealthier? Sarah, who saves $10,000 from a $50,000 salary, or Tom, who saves nothing from $150,000? It's Sarah, every time. Wealth is about behavior, not income. Our instincts crave instant rewards and fear losses, making smart money moves feel unnatural. Loss aversion keeps us clinging to cash, while the pleasure of spending tempts us daily. We're wired for short-term thinking, not long-term growth. To win with money, you must outsmart your own instincts. Choose what's best for your future self, not just what feels good now. Mastering this is the real financial game. Why do so many lottery winners go broke? Because sudden wealth doesn't change your habits or mindset. Without emotional discipline and financial literacy, a windfall just magnifies old mistakes. Impulsive spending, pressure from others, and a lack of planning quickly drain fortunes. True wealth isn't about a big bank account, it's about the mindset and skills to keep and grow money. Lasting prosperity comes from emotional intelligence, not luck. Whether you win the lottery or get a raise, your mindset determines if you keep your wealth. Lifestyle creep is the silent thief of wealth. Expenses rise with income and you're stuck on a fancier hamster wheel. Social media amplifies this, making us compare our real lives to everyone else's highlight reels. We spend to keep up, chasing an illusion of success and satisfaction that never lasts. This endless comparison drains our resources and keeps us broke. Real wealth comes from resisting the urge to impress and focusing on your own goals. Don't let envy dictate your financial future. If you're chasing someone else's definition of success, you're not in control, you're playing a rigged game. True wealth is about freedom and living on your own terms, not matching someone else's lifestyle. Define what enough means for you. Ignore the noise and focus on your values. Every dollar spent to impress others is a dollar lost to your future self. The most important financial decision? Stop playing by someone else's rules. Start designing your own. Only then can you build real, sustainable wealth. The single biggest mental shift you can make on your journey to financial freedom is to stop trying to look rich and start focusing all your energy on actually being rich. These two goals might sound similar, but in practice they are polar opposites that lead down entirely different paths. Looking rich is a game of subtraction. It's about spending money on depreciating assets like luxury cars, designer clothes, and expensive watches to signal status to the outside world. Being rich, however, is a game of addition. It is the quiet, often invisible process of accumulating income-producing assets that work for you, even while you sleep. The path to looking rich is loud, flashy, and immediate, while the path to being rich is silent, disciplined, and slow. To truly understand this principle, you only need to look at the story of one of the wealthiest people in modern history, Warren Buffett. Many people assume his fortune was built on a few brilliant, high-stakes investment moves made early in his career. But the reality is far more profound and accessible to all of us. The vast majority of his immense wealth, over 99% of it, was accumulated after his 50th birthday. This wasn't because he suddenly became a better investor in his later years. It was due to the simple, unstoppable, and truly magical force of compounding. The process where your investment earnings begin to generate their own earnings, creating an exponential snowball of wealth over long periods. This is the secret that the truly wealthy understand. They are not focused on the next year, they are focused on the next decade. They have internalized the idea that small, consistent actions repeated over a long time horizon produce results that are almost impossible to comprehend in the short term. This long-term perspective completely changes how you view your money and your decisions. It allows you to resist the temptation of instant gratification because you understand the enormous future cost of a small, frivolous purchase today. This is the first and most crucial step in rewiring your brain for wealth, shifting your focus from the present to the future, and from looking rich to being rich. So, the next time you are faced with a financial choice, ask yourself a simple question. Which of these two options will actually make me richer in the long run? Those brand new $500 sneakers that will be out of style next season? Or a $500 investment in a low-cost index fund that could grow to thousands of dollars over the coming decades? The answer is obvious, yet our emotional brains often push us toward the instant dopamine hit of the sneakers. Rewiring your mindset means consciously overriding that impulse time and time again until the choice to build real wealth becomes your default setting. It's about choosing the quiet satisfaction of a growing portfolio over the loud, fleeting applause for a new purchase. In a world that constantly glorifies action, hustle, and making bold moves, one of the most powerful and counterintuitive strategies for building wealth is learning to do absolutely nothing. This concept is especially critical when it comes to investing. The financial markets are inherently volatile. They go up and they go down. Periods of panic and steep decline are not a question of if, but a question of when. During these moments of chaos, when the news is filled with terrifying headlines and market charts are bleeding red, the average investor's brain screams at them to act. Driven by the intense pain of loss aversion, their instinct is to sell everything to stop the bleeding, to just get out of the market before things get even worse. This panic selling is the single most destructive mistake an investor can make. They end up selling their assets at the lowest possible price, locking in their losses permanently. The wealthy investor, on the other hand, has trained their mind to react differently. They understand that market downturns are a natural and necessary part of the long-term cycle of growth. They know that historically, every single market crash has been followed by an eventual recovery and new all-time highs. So, while everyone else is panicking and selling in a frenzy, the savvy investor remains calm. They do nothing. They stick to their plan, trusting in the power of time and the resilience of the market. This ability to remain steadfast and patient while everyone else loses their cool is perhaps the greatest advantage an investor can possess. It's not about having a higher IQ or access to secret information, it's about having superior emotional control. Warren Buffett famously said that the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. By simply staying invested and resisting the urge to react to short-term noise, you allow your assets the time they need to recover and continue compounding. Often, the most profitable move you can make in a market crash is to ignore your portfolio, turn off the financial news, and go for a long walk. This principle extends beyond just market crashes. It applies to the constant temptation to chase the latest hot stock or investment fad. The media will always be promoting the next big thing, creating a sense of urgency and fear of missing out. People jump from one strategy to another, always trying to time the market and almost always failing. The wealthy mindset involves choosing a sound, simple, and diversified investment strategy, and then having the discipline to stick with it for decades, doing nothing but making consistent contributions. It's boring, it's not glamorous, but it is the undisputed, time-tested path to building extraordinary wealth. Your greatest enemy isn't a market crash, it's your own impatience. There is a powerful and famous story that perfectly encapsulates the ultimate secret to a wealthy mindset. The author Kurt Vonnegut was at a lavish party hosted by a billionaire hedge fund manager. He turned to his friend, the novelist Joseph Heller, and pointed out that their billionaire host had made more money in a single day than Heller had ever made from his wildly successful and iconic novel, Catch-22. It was a staggering comparison of financial scale. Most people would have felt a sense of envy or maybe even inadequacy in that moment. But Heller just smiled calmly and delivered a response that was worth more than any billionaire's daily earnings. He said, "Yes, but I have something he will never have: enough." This simple, profound statement reveals the final and most important piece of the money mindset puzzle. True wealth is not a number. It is not an endless pursuit of more, more, more. True wealth is reaching the point where you have enough. It's the freedom that comes from knowing you have sufficient resources to live the life you want. without the gnawing anxiety and constant striving for something more. It is a finish line that you define for yourself. Without this definition, you are doomed to run on the hedonic treadmill forever, where every new level of wealth simply brings new desires, and satisfaction remains permanently out of reach. The man who never feels he has enough, no matter how many billions he accumulates, is in a sense the poorest man in the world. Defining what enough means for you is an act of rebellion against a consumer culture that is designed to make you feel perpetually lacking. It requires you to look inward and honestly assess what truly brings you joy, security, and fulfillment. It's about understanding that the purpose of money is not to accumulate the biggest pile, but to use it as a tool to design your ideal life. Once you have enough to cover your needs, ensure your security, and fund your passions, every dollar beyond that point brings rapidly diminishing returns in terms of happiness. The billionaire and the comfortable retiree with a paid-off house can both enjoy the same sunset, the same walk in the park, and the same time with loved ones. This is why the final mindset shift is to move your goalpost from more to enough. When you do this, you escape the trap of social comparison. You no longer care if your neighbor has a fancier car or if a hedge fund manager made a fortune yesterday, because their game is not your game. You have already won the only game that matters, your own. You have achieved a state of financial independence where you are no longer a slave to money, but its master. Wealth, in its truest form, isn't about having more than everyone else. It's about needing less, wanting less, and finding deep contentment in the freedom you have built for yourself. If you were to ask 100 people what the single most important trait for becoming a millionaire is, you would likely get a wide range of answers. Many would point to raw intelligence, believing that financial success is reserved for geniuses who can decipher complex market trends. Others would credit sheer luck, attributing wealth to being in the right place at the right time, like winning the lottery, or stumbling upon a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. A significant portion would champion the idea of working harder than anyone else, subscribing to the belief that endless hours and relentless hustle are the only true currency of success. While intelligence, luck, and hard work can certainly play a role, they are not the defining characteristic that separates the truly wealthy from everyone else. The real secret, the unsung superpower, is far less glamorous but infinitely more powerful. The one trait that overwhelmingly unites self-made millionaires is patience. It's the quiet, unshakable ability to remain calm and consistent while the rest of the world is succumbing to emotional chaos. It's the discipline to make a sound plan and stick to it for years, even decades, resisting the siren song of get-rich-quick schemes and market hysteria. This quality might seem passive or boring, especially in a culture that celebrates speed and decisive action, but in the world of finance, it is the ultimate competitive advantage. Patience allows you to harness the unstoppable force of compound interest, which, as we've seen with Warren Buffett, is responsible for creating the most staggering fortunes in history. It is a long-term game, and only the patient have the stamina to win. Think of building wealth not as a sprint, but as planting a tree. In the beginning, the progress is almost imperceptible. You water the seed, protect it, and for a long time it seems like nothing is happening. It would be easy to get discouraged, to dig it up to see if it's growing, or to abandon it for a faster-growing weed. This is where most people fail. They lack the patience to see the process through. The patient investor, however, continues to tend to the sapling, trusting in the process of slow, steady growth. Years later, that tiny sapling has transformed into a mighty oak, providing shade, security, and value that is immeasurable compared to the initial effort. This is the essence of the millionaire mindset, a deep-seated belief in the power of time and consistency. This is precisely why patience beats intelligence, luck, and even hard work in the long run. A brilliant person can easily outsmart themselves by overanalyzing and constantly changing their strategy. A lucky person can just as easily lose their fortune if they lack the discipline to preserve it. A hard worker can burn out chasing short-term gains, but the patient individual, who consistently saves and invests a portion of their income, month after month, year after year, is building a foundation that is almost guaranteed to grow into something substantial. They are not trying to beat the market, they are simply giving the market enough time to work its magic for them. This mindset is the bedrock upon which all lasting wealth is built. When we think of patience, we often view it as a defensive quality. the ability to endure hardship or wait calmly for something to happen. In the context of building wealth, however, patience is not passive. It is an active and powerful offensive strategy. It's the weapon you use to exploit the greatest weakness of the average investor, their emotional reactivity. The financial markets are driven by two powerful emotions, greed and fear. Greed causes people to pile into assets when they are popular and expensive, creating bubbles. Fear causes them to panic and sell those same assets when they fall out of favor and become cheap. The patient investor uses this predictable cycle to their advantage, turning the market's emotional volatility into a source of opportunity. Consider how this plays out during a market downturn. As discussed, when fear grips the market, the impatient sell their holdings at a loss, desperate to stop the pain. For the patient investor, this is not a crisis. It is a sale. They see the panic of others as a chance to acquire valuable assets at a significant discount. While everyone else is running for the exits, the patient investor is calmly and methodically buying. This is the ultimate offensive move. It requires courage and a strong conviction in your long-term plan, but it is how generational wealth is often created. You are not just weathering the storm, you are actively using the storm to strengthen your financial position for the decades to come. This offensive patience also applies during periods of market euphoria. When a particular stock or asset class becomes the talk of the town and everyone is rushing to buy it, fueled by greed and the fear of missing out, the patient investor exercises restraint. They understand that buying into an asset when it is at the peak of its popularity is often a recipe for disaster. Instead of getting swept up in the hype, they stick to their predetermined plan of consistent, diversified investing. Their patience prevents them from overpaying for assets and protects them from the inevitable crash that often follows such speculative manias. In this way, patience acts as both a shield and a sword, protecting capital from foolish risks and deploying it when opportunities are most attractive. Ultimately, using patience as an offensive tool means detaching your financial decisions from the emotional temperature of the market. You operate on your own timeline, not the market's. You buy when your plan dictates you should buy, which is consistently and especially when others are fearful. You sell only when your long-term goals require it, not because of short-term price movements. This approach requires you to cultivate a mindset that is fundamentally contrarian. You learn to be greedy when others are fearful and fearful when others are greedy, as Warren Buffett advises. This isn't about market timing, it's about temperament. It's about having the psychological fortitude to act rationally when everyone else is acting emotionally. The paradox of building wealth is that, honestly, the desire to get rich quickly is the surest way to stay poor forever. It leads people to chase high-risk gambles, fall for scams, and take on dangerous levels of debt, all of which inevitably blow up, setting them back even further than where they started. The actual path to wealth, the one that reliably works, feels agonizingly slow in the beginning. It's really the path of consistency, the simple, unexciting habit of putting money to work, month in and month out, without fail. This methodical approach totally lacks the thrill of a speculative win, but it is exactly what builds the unstoppable momentum of compounding. Ironically, this slow and steady path is the fastest, most reliable way to actually arrive at your destination of financial freedom. Consistency is the engine of patience. It's one thing to say you'll be patient, but it's another to put that patience into action through unwavering, regular contributions to your investments. And honestly, this is where so many people falter. They get excited and start strong, but then life gets in the way. A few months of market declines discourage them, or an unexpected expense derails their savings plan. They lose momentum and fall off track. The millionaire mindset, however, treats consistency as non-negotiable, like paying a utility bill. The savings and investment contributions happen automatically, regardless of what the market is doing, what the headlines are saying, or how you're feeling at that moment. This transforms wealth building from a matter of willpower into a simple, automated habit. This unwavering consistency does more than just build your portfolio, it trains your brain. Each month that you invest, you are casting a vote for your future self. You're reinforcing the habit of delaying gratification and strengthening your emotional resilience. When you continue to invest, even when the market is down, you're teaching yourself to be comfortable with volatility and to see downturns as opportunities rather than threats. Over time, this consistent action rewires your emotional response to money. Panic is replaced by poise, and fear is replaced by fortitude. You are not just accumulating assets, you are accumulating the discipline and temperament of a seasoned investor, which is, honestly, an even more valuable asset. Therefore, if you want to adopt the millionaire mindset, your primary focus should be on building a system of consistency. Automate your investments so that the decision is taken out of your hands. Commit to a specific savings rate and stick to it with religious devotion. Celebrate the consistency of your actions, not the short-term performance of your portfolio. This shift in focus from outcome to process is the key. You cannot control what the market does tomorrow, but you can control your own actions today. By focusing on the powerful cumulative effect of patient and consistent effort, you put yourself on the only proven path to lasting wealth. It may feel slow, but it is the only road that is guaranteed to get you there. The single most profound mental adjustment you can make on your journey to financial freedom is to completely abandon the goal of looking rich and instead dedicate all your focus to the quiet, deliberate process of actually being rich. These two ambitions might sound like they are aligned, but in reality, they are fundamentally opposing forces that pull you in entirely different directions. Looking rich is a game of public performance and financial subtraction. It involves spending your hard-earned money on highly visible, rapidly depreciating assets, like luxury cars, designer clothing, and expensive gadgets, all to project an image of success to the outside world. Being rich, conversely, is a game of private discipline and financial addition. It is the silent, often invisible accumulation of income-producing assets that work for you around the clock. The path to looking rich is loud, flashy, and depletes your resources, while the path to being rich is quiet, patient, and builds them. To truly internalize the power of this distinction, you only need to consider the financial journey of one of the wealthiest individuals in modern history, Warren Buffett. A common misconception is that his immense fortune was the result of a few brilliant, high-stakes investment decisions made early in his career. However, the far more powerful and accessible truth is that the vast majority of his wealth, an astonishing 99% of it, was generated after his 50th birthday. This incredible fact is not because his investing skills magically improved with age. It was the direct result of the simple, unstoppable, and almost magical force of compounding interest. This is the process where your investment earnings start to generate their own earnings, creating an exponential snowball of wealth that grows more powerful with each passing decade. This long-term perspective is the master key that unlocks the wealthy mindset. People who build lasting fortunes are not obsessing over their returns next month or next year. Their focus is fixed firmly on the next decade and beyond. They have deeply internalized the concept that small, consistent, and disciplined actions, when repeated over a very long time horizon, will produce results that are almost impossible to fathom in the short term. This understanding completely reframes how you view your money and the daily decisions you make with it. It empowers you to effortlessly resist the siren call of instant gratification because you are keenly aware of the enormous future value you would be sacrificing for a minor, fleeting pleasure today. This is the first and most critical step in rewiring your brain, shifting your focus from the immediate to the eternal, and from looking rich to being rich. Therefore, the next time you find yourself at a financial crossroads, pause and ask yourself a simple, clarifying question. Which of these choices will genuinely make me richer in the long run? Is it the brand new $500 pair of sneakers that will feel exciting for a week but will be out of style next season? Or is it a $500 investment into a simple, low-cost index fund that has the potential to grow into thousands or even tens of thousands of dollars over the coming decades? The logical answer is glaringly obvious, yet our emotional, primitive brains often crave the immediate dopamine rush from the sneakers. To rewire your mindset is to consciously and repeatedly override that primal impulse, choosing the quiet satisfaction of a growing portfolio over the loud temporary validation that comes from a new purchase, until building real wealth becomes your automatic default behavior. In our modern culture, which relentlessly glorifies action, hustle, and the constant need to be making bold moves, one of the most effective and profoundly counterintuitive strategies for building wealth is to master the art of doing absolutely nothing. This principle is never more critical than when applied to the world of investing. The financial markets are, by their very nature, volatile entities. They ebb and flow, they soar, and they plummet. Periods of intense fear and steep market declines are not a matter of if, but an inevitable matter of when. During these moments of widespread chaos, as financial news channels flash terrifying headlines and market charts bleed a sea of red, the average investor's brain screams at them to do something, to act now. Driven by the powerful psychological pain of loss aversion, their overwhelming instinct is to sell everything to stop the financial bleeding, to escape the market before things can possibly get any worse. This emotionally driven panic selling is, without a doubt, the single most destructive mistake an investor can possibly make. In a desperate attempt to avoid further short-term pain, they end up selling their valuable assets at the lowest possible price, thereby converting a temporary on-paper dip into a permanent real-world loss. The wealthy investor, in stark contrast, has meticulously trained their mind to react in the opposite manner. They understand that market downturns are a natural, healthy, and recurring part of the long-term cycle of economic growth. They have studied history and know with certainty that every single market crash in the past has eventually been followed by a full recovery and the establishment of new all-time highs. So, while the masses are panicking and selling in a frenzy, the savvy investor remains perfectly calm. They do nothing. They stick to their pre-established plan, placing their trust in the proven power of time. This remarkable ability to remain steadfast, patient, and emotionally detached while everyone else is losing their composure is arguably the greatest strategic advantage an investor can possess. It has very little to do with possessing a genius-level IQ or having access to secret Wall Street information. It is purely a matter of superior emotional regulation and discipline. As Warren Buffett wisely stated, the stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient. By simply having the fortitude to stay invested and resisting the powerful urge to react to short-term market noise, you give your assets the crucial time they need to recover and continue their compounding journey. Often, the most profitable action you can take during a market crash is to courageously ignore your portfolio, switch off the financial news, and go for a long, calming walk. This powerful principle of strategic inaction extends far beyond just navigating market crashes. It also applies to the constant daily temptation to chase the latest hot stock tip or jump on the bandwagon of a new investment fad. The financial media and social media are perpetual hype machines, always promoting the next big thing and creating a powerful sense of urgency and fear of missing out. This causes impatient people to jump erratically from one strategy to another, constantly trying to time the market, an endeavor in which they almost always fail. The wealthy mindset involves choosing a sound, simple, and diversified investment strategy, and then having the immense discipline to do nothing but stick with it for decades, making only consistent automatic contributions. It's boring, it's not glamorous, but it is the undisputed, time-tested path to building extraordinary lasting wealth. There is a powerful and frequently told story that perfectly encapsulates the ultimate secret to cultivating a truly wealthy mindset. The renowned author Kurt Vonnegut was attending a lavish party on Shelter Island, hosted by a billionaire hedge fund manager. At one point, Vonnegut turned to his friend, the celebrated novelist Joseph Heller, and pointed out that their billionaire host had likely made more money in that single day than Heller had earned from his iconic multi-million copy bestseller Catch-22 over its entire lifetime. It was a staggering comparison of financial scale, a moment that could easily have induced feelings of envy or inadequacy in most people. But Heller simply smiled, completely unfazed, and delivered a response that contained more wisdom than any billionaire's balance sheet. He said, "Yes, but I have something he will never have: enough." This simple yet profoundly insightful statement unveils the final and most crucial component of the money mindset puzzle. True wealth is not a number on a screen. It is not a relentless, unending pursuit of more. True, lasting wealth is the liberation that comes from reaching the point where you have enough. It is the unparalleled freedom that arises from knowing you possess sufficient resources to live the life you genuinely desire, unburdened by the gnawing anxiety and constant striving for the next level of accumulation. It represents a finish line that you and only you get to define for yourself. Without this personal definition, you are condemned to run on the hedonic treadmill forever, a frustrating cycle where every new level of wealth simply introduces a new set of desires, leaving true satisfaction permanently just out of your reach. The act of defining what enough means for you is a powerful act of rebellion. It is a conscious rejection of a consumer culture that is meticulously designed to make you feel perpetually incomplete and lacking. This process demands that you turn your focus inward, away from the noise of the world, and honestly assess what truly brings you security, joy, and a deep sense of fulfillment. It is about fundamentally understanding that the purpose of money is not to mindlessly accumulate the biggest possible pile, but to use it as a precise tool to design your ideal life. Once you have accumulated enough capital to cover your needs, guarantee your long-term security, and comfortably fund your passions, every additional dollar beyond that point provides rapidly diminishing returns in terms of actual happiness. The billionaire and the financially secure retiree with a paid-off house can both derive the exact same joy from a beautiful sunset or time spent with loved ones. This is precisely why the ultimate mindset shift is to move your personal goalpost from the vague and infinite target of more to the concrete and liberating destination of enough. When you successfully make this transition, you permanently escape the toxic and unwinnable game of social comparison. You no longer feel a pang of envy if your neighbor buys a fancier car, or if a Wall Street trader makes a fortune overnight, because you recognize that their game is not your game. You have already won the only competition that truly matters, your own. You have achieved a state of genuine financial independence where you are no longer a servant to money, but its rightful master. Wealth, in its most authentic form, is not about having more than others. It is about wanting less, needing less, and discovering profound contentment in the freedom you have so patiently built for yourself. Now that we understand the deep-seated psychological barriers and mindset shifts required to build wealth, let's move from theory to direct action. The most effective way to overcome our brain's natural tendency towards instant gratification and emotional decision-making is to remove the decision-making process altogether. The more financial choices you have to actively make on a daily or weekly basis, the more opportunities you create for your emotional brain to sabotage your long-term goals. This is why the single most powerful practical hack you can implement is automation. By setting up automatic systems for your finances, you put your wealth building on autopilot, making success the path of least resistance. You are essentially making a pact with your future self, and then making it impossible to break that pact. The first and most critical step is to automate the principle of paying yourself first. This means that on the very day your paycheck arrives in your account, a predetermined amount is automatically transferred to your savings and investment accounts before you even have a chance to see it or think about spending it. This simple act completely flips the script from the typical budgeting method. Most people spend first, and then try to save whatever is left over, which is often nothing. By automating your savings, you treat your future financial security with the same importance as your rent or mortgage payment. It becomes a non-negotiable expense. This system works because it bypasses the need for daily discipline and willpower, which are finite resources that can easily be depleted by stress or temptation. Once your savings are automated, the next hack is to make the process feel rewarding and engaging. Our brains are wired to seek rewards and track progress, which is why video games can be so addictive. You can leverage this same psychological mechanism by gamifying your savings journey. Instead of seeing saving as an act of deprivation, reframe it as a game where you are trying to achieve a new high score. Use a simple spreadsheet or a budgeting app to track your net worth every month. Watching that number grow, even by a small amount, provides a tangible sense of accomplishment and a dopamine hit that reinforces your positive behavior. You can set up levels or achievements for yourself, celebrating milestones like your first $1,000 saved, your first $10,000 invested, or the first month your investment returns exceeded your contributions. This process of gamification transforms a chore into a challenge. It creates a positive feedback loop that makes you want to save more, to find new ways to beat your old score. You might start looking for ways to cut expenses not because you have to, but because you want to see your net worth graph tick upwards more steeply. You are no longer fighting against your brain's desire for rewards, you are harnessing it. By combining the unstoppable force of automation with the engaging fun of gamification, you create a powerful one-two punch. Automation ensures consistency and removes the chance of failure, while gamification provides the motivation and emotional reward to keep you engaged for the long haul. turning the slow process of wealth building into an exciting and deeply satisfying game. A third powerful psychological hack that can fundamentally change your relationship with money is to reframe the way you perceive the cost of things. We are accustomed to thinking about prices in abstract monetary terms, like dollars, pounds, or euros. A $300 jacket is just a number on a tag, and with the tap of a credit card, the transaction feels almost weightless and disconnected from reality. This abstraction makes it incredibly easy to spend money without fully considering its true cost. To break this cycle, you must learn to stop thinking in dollars and start translating prices into a currency that is far more valuable and finite. Your time. Your money is a direct representation of your life energy, the hours you traded away from your life to earn it. Before making any non-essential purchase, perform a simple mental calculation. Take the price of the item and divide it by your hourly wage. If you don't have an hourly wage, you can easily approximate it from your salary. That new $300 jacket? If you make $30 an hour after taxes, it's not a $300 jacket. It is a 10-hour jacket. Now the question becomes entirely different. It's no longer, is this jacket worth $300? It is this jacket worth 10 hours of my life? 10 hours of sitting in traffic, attending meetings, and dealing with work-related stress? Suddenly, the purchase feels much more significant. You are not just giving away money. You are giving away irreplaceable segments of your life. This reframing technique acts as a powerful brake on impulsive spending. It forces you to connect with the real-world effort required to obtain the item in question. That daily $5 specialty coffee might seem trivial, but when you see it as 10 to 15 minutes of your work life each day, it adds up to over an hour of your life every week just for coffee. Is it still worth it? For some, the answer might be yes, and that's perfectly fine. The goal isn't to deprive yourself of everything you enjoy. The goal is to make conscious, deliberate decisions with a full understanding of the trade-off. You are moving from mindless consumption to mindful evaluation, ensuring that you are only exchanging your precious life energy for things that provide true value and happiness. When you consistently apply this mental model, you stop seeing money as just numbers on a screen and start seeing it for what it truly is: a stored representation of your time, your freedom, and your future. This deep intuitive understanding will naturally guide you toward better financial choices. You will begin to value experiences over material goods, and you will prioritize buying back your time through saving and investing over trading it for things that offer only fleeting satisfaction. This simple psychological shift is one of the most profound you can make. It aligns your daily spending habits with your ultimate goal of owning your time, which is the very definition of true wealth. Throughout this journey, we have dismantled the popular myths surrounding wealth and replaced them with a more profound and empowering truth. We have seen that getting rich is not a mathematical problem to be solved with a complex formula, but a psychological game to be won inside your own mind. It is not about having a genius-level IQ, stumbling upon a lucky break, or working yourself to the point of exhaustion. The path to lasting financial freedom is paved with emotional intelligence, unwavering patience, and a deep understanding of the cognitive biases that drive our behavior. It is about recognizing that the fear, greed, envy, and ego that so often dictate our financial choices are the true adversaries standing between us and a life of security and autonomy. We've explored how the modern world sets traps for us at every turn, from the subtle poison of lifestyle creep to the relentless pressure of social media comparison, which forces us into playing a game we can never win. We learned from the cautionary tale of the broke lottery winner that acquiring money is infinitely easier than keeping it, proving that wealth is a skill set and a mindset, not just a number in an account. The real secret, the one shared by the world's most successful investors like Warren Buffett, is not some complex strategy, but the simple, almost boring superpower of patience. The ability to play the long game while everyone else is distracted by short-term noise and emotional panic. The most transformative step you can take starting today is to shift your focus from looking rich to being rich. This means consciously choosing the quiet satisfaction of a growing investment portfolio over the loud, fleeting validation of a luxury purchase. It means having the courage to do nothing when your instincts scream at you to panic, and it means defining what enough means for you, liberating yourself from the endless and exhausting pursuit of more. By implementing simple psychological hacks, automating your success, gamifying your progress, and reframing spending in terms of your own life energy, you can turn your brain from an adversary into your most powerful ally in this pursuit. You build systems that make success inevitable. Ultimately, at the end of the day, money is not about beating others or accumulating the biggest pile of treasure. It is not a competition. It is the ultimate tool for self-determination. True wealth is about having control over your time, your choices, and your life. It is the freedom to wake up in the morning and do work that you love, not work that you need. It is the security of knowing that you and your family are protected from life's inevitable storms. And that is a game you can start winning today, right now, no matter how much you earn or how much you have saved. It begins not with a windfall, but with a mindset shift. Wealth is a mindset. Start thinking differently.